Hey, welcome to another episode of Asexualized, My Asexual Life. This is a place to be for education about asexuality, all things asexual, and I share my own asexual life journey in order to help you and yours. If you haven't already subscribed to this channel, please hit the great big subscribe button now. That's down below. Please hit that bell icon to get notified of every time I go live like now or post a new video. And don't forget to give this video a thumbs up as you go along if you are enjoying the content in any way. This is the third time I've attempted to do this video, so hopefully it will work out absolutely fine. Now, so after yesterday's episode, I was thinking, because yesterday's episode was very much talking about what to do if you're lonely. And somewhere amongst the conversation I had with you, I brought up the fact of my ex and the fact that there was jealousy and possessiveness there, and I decided for my own sake that I wouldn't be possessive, but you know, my fears became true, and in the end he was seeing someone else. So yeah, so today I wanted to do a video specifically about when jealousy and possessiveness is not your fault, and there's a question mark in that. And the reason there's a question mark is because, one, it's not something that's usually talked about very often, jealousy and possessiveness, and two is we're all responsible for our own actions. So kind of like you're not ever not completely at fault, if you know what I mean. But there is this other side to jealousy and possessiveness, the side that's not talked about very much, when someone is kind of emotionally blackmailing you or manipulating you or being bad towards you, that may kind of push you towards feeling this way. And that's sort of what I want to address. I want to address the side of the possessiveness and jealousy that isn't much talked about, the side where, you know, it's kind of the person that you're with is the wrong type of person. They're not a good person, therefore they're kind of creating that feeling within you. So first of all, obviously possessiveness is not a good thing, because we're not an object. We shouldn't be possessed. You know, it's not good. I have been possessive in the past. I'm not saying I could never be possessive ever again, because I haven't been in a relationship for a long time. I was with bad people in the past. So I have been possessive myself. I have to tell you that and be honest. I used to be a very jealous person. I'm not so jealous a person anymore. I mean, I don't know. Again, I don't know what I'd be like, but I knew when I was in the last relationship, I wasn't as jealous and possessive as I used to be, even when I was in that relationship for a long time. And I, you know, not in the last year, but before that, I could, you know, like, I wouldn't say in the last year, like, but I could in the past get jealous. And, you know, I mean, I don't know if I might have a little bit last year, maybe upon occasion, but in general, you know, I feel now that I'm a lot better, that I'm getting rid of that jealousy feeling, because I believe that I've got the right people in my life, if that makes sense. So this is what I wanted to talk to you about. You know, like, I've always looked at myself as having, you know, like you have weaknesses and strength. I've always looked at my jealousy as a kind of more weakness in me, you know. And I think in a lot of relationships there is a little bit of jealousy, so quite often, and I think, you know, that isn't necessarily a really bad thing. I don't think people should beat themselves up if they just feel a little bit of jealousy, because it can be a little bit healthy in the sense that you're not taking that person for granted, if you know what I mean. You're kind of like, you know, you're kind of like aware there's other people, that they've got other options, if you know what I mean. But on the whole, you want to be in a position where you're not feeling jealous or possessive at all. And, you know, it might be, the reason you might feel that way is because it might be to do with your childhood, your past, your own issues. Which is why I use the word not your fault loosely, with a question mark. But I have to let you know that since I've had the experience of having really, really great asexual guy friends in my life, I've kind of changed in the way I feel towards guys, in the sense I've got really trustworthy guys, And I can compare the difference now between those trustworthy guys that I know wouldn't betray and wouldn't go off with someone else and wouldn't do stuff they weren't supposed to do behind their partner's back, compared to the other people that I would feel jealous if I was with them in, for example, a relationship. Because I can see the contrast, and what I've realised is it's not all to do with me. It's to do with the fact of them and their character. And so while I used to blame myself always for I didn't always blame myself theoretically, because I always knew that the people in my past are bad and they gave me cause in a way to feel like that, even though we're responsible for our own feelings. They sort of were the trigger, if you like. I never had any good people to compare that to. And so now I kind of, instead of just thinking I'm bad in that way and that there's no hope for me in that way, I'm getting really personal with my feelings about this now. That's one of the reasons why one of the major reasons why I don't want to get into a relationship, because I'm always usually better as a friend for someone than I am in a relationship. Or I don't mind I don't mind saying that, I feel that I'm better as a single person, but it's not just because of that. It's because I feel more confident as a single person than I do usually in a relationship. When in the past, when I've been in relationships, my confidence has plummeted. And so, yeah, I guess I've experienced more the dark side of relationships in my life. I've been with some people who are not nice people. It could have been worse. People have been with worse people than I've been with in the past. But, kind of like some people, they bring out the really dark side in you. And I've got a friend who I met through an asexual group, and even I've been friends with them for a very long time, and I was with them when they were experiencing darkness in their life. And it was a person that they were with that was causing them to have become a bit like a monster inside, with their feelings and their attitudes, and and that they're now there with a really good person. They're not like that. They worry and they feel insecure about themselves, but they're not this rah type person. And I just want you to know that not everything is your fault in life, and sometimes the way you feel, although you're responsible for your own feelings, you are, you're responsible for your own feelings. Some things happen in your life, and sometimes you deal with them the best you can at the time, and it's only because I've got really good guys in my life now that I can see the difference. I can see there's a possibility for me to be in a relationship where I could totally trust a guy, whereas I wouldn't have said that before. I'd never met anyone until, for example, Sam, who I knew before the other two guys, asexual guys that I'm really close to. Sam, for example, my BFF, he watches the channel as well. Hi, Sam. He has exactly the same boundaries as me in a relationship. Now, me and Sam aren't compatible in relationship terms. He doesn't like kissing. I love stack loads of it. As you know, he's British, and I prefer Indian guys and foreign guys in general, as you know. And he prefers guys, to be honest with you. So, but I know, a guy like him exists, if you know what I mean. So it does give me some hope. The way he is in a relationship with his boundaries is how I would want a guy to be, he's like me, and if a woman or bloke came onto him when he was in a relationship, that would be it. He would tell them to go away. I know he's done that in the past, and it takes a lot for someone to do that, and I know I could completely, for example, trust him. I know in a relationship he is 100% trustworthy. I never trusted anyone fully in terms of a guy 100% until I met him. I just didn't. And, it was just a miracle, really. I mean, he's naked repulsed like I am. And, it's just he's got very same boundaries. He won't cuddle his friends. He's not going to go round to groups where there's hugging. You know what I mean? So, for example, if I was with someone who was going around in meeting people in huggy groups, that would make me feel probably a little bit insecure and jealous, probably, because I would be like, why are you going around having bodily contact with someone else? But to me, that's a standard and a boundary, you see. Whereas to someone else who's asexual, it might be part of what they do. It might be part of their life. And if they got a partner that did that as well, then they would be suitable together. They could still trust each other. But if I had a guy who was going around, I wouldn't feel comfortable with it, you know? And I don't know if I could hack that. I think it would just be like something that I wasn't comfortable and it didn't feel quite right. So I guess it takes a lot for me to trust someone. It takes a lot for me to have no jealousy whatsoever. Because if I feel they're doing wrong by me in the relationship in the sense of physical contact with other people or over friendliness, then I'd probably feel a bit jealous. And that's hard, you know, admitting that, but it's the truth. And so therefore, you know, it makes me feel kind of like there's not many people I could actually be in a relationship with, because I need someone whose boundaries are the same as mine. Do you know what I mean? So I know that when they're away from me, not because I tell them I don't like that, or because I don't, you know, they know that I don't like that, but just because they're naturally doing it. And I know a lot of asexuals, for example, some of them, they do really like hugging each other, like even cuddling each other, even though they're just friends. And so even though I'm asexual, and even though, you know, there's other people that are asexual, I don't trust all the asexual people in terms of relationships. Friends, absolutely wonderful. But in terms of if I was looking at it from an actual relationship point of view, I wouldn't totally trust many of them, because to me, they're too friendly with other people in a relationship sense, because I'm used to romantic relationships. Obviously, for a lot of aromantics, those who lack romantic attraction, it's quite normal for a lot of them to be really huggy with their friends. It seems weird because I've met different types of aromantic asexuals. I've met those that they don't want any bodily contact with, you know, they barely want even contact with the partner if they had one. You know, they barely want a tap on the shoulder. They don't like much physical contact. They don't need that. And then I've met the other extreme end where the aromantics is part of their routine, that every time they see their friends, they like cuddle them, hug them for prolonged periods of time. And to not do that would feel like they weren't being themselves. Do you see what I mean? So I think relationships in general can be very, very tricky, because it's all about having complementary boundaries, I think. And, you know, I have to say that there are those people in life which will make you feel possessive and jealous if they're the really bad people, you know, the people that will go off with other people, the people that you can't trust around another person. And I think there's a lot of them, you know, and the people in my past, they weren't trustworthy. You know, even though I gave quite a lot of trust to them, they weren't trustworthy. You know, nearly every one of them went off with another woman in the end. And, you know, I didn't even get jealous until I was, how old was I? 15 years old. And I had a heterosexual boyfriend. He was 18, I was 15. No, it wasn't when I was 15, sorry. It's when I was 16. That's right. I had a boyfriend when I was 15, but it's when I was 16. So when I was 15, I had a boyfriend, and he went out clubbing, and I didn't think anything of it. I totally trusted, didn't question anything. I remember totally trusting him. I didn't think anything of anything. And then when I was 16, the guy I thought I loved, the first ever person I thought I might love, who really broke my heart, and who emotionally blackmailed me into losing my virginity, you know, and then 6 months later dumped me. You know, he was the one who said that he was looking at other women stood next to me in the bus stop. And ever since then, I've never been right. I've always had this distrust where I just can't trust the person, because I don't know what they're doing when I'm not there. I don't even know what they're doing when I am with them. And they just, you know, when I'm stood next to them and they're looking around at other people, I don't even know. You know, and I kind of felt like I should have noticed that, but I didn't, because I wasn't even thinking a guy would do that when I'm with him. I was all sweet and innocent back then, and thought never occurred to my mind that they'd be looking at other people, because I've very much been a person traditionally that kind of like thought the person should just be into the person they're with and not looking around at other people. And I don't know if that's because of my asexuality that I'm like that. It could very well be. It's highly likely that because I didn't realise it's asexual back then, it's highly likely that I had that mindset back then. I mean, I lived on the countryside, was brought up in the countryside, lived a very sheltered life, which obviously must have had a bit of impact on that as well. And so, yeah, it's just like, I just wanted to do this video to let you know that there's some people that will literally be bad people that will make you feel possessive and jealous, even if you don't necessarily want to be that way yourself. And no one can make you, as in the sense you are in control of you should ideally be in control of your own emotions, but sometimes you can get into situations with people, they do make you feel out of control of your emotions, and the only choice you've got is to walk away. And sometimes, like, if you love the person, you can't feel like you can't do that. They've got this magnetic hold over you, if you know what I mean. So it isn't easy. And I just wanted you to know that, it's like there have been certain guys that have even come into my life, asexual guys, and they've made me feel jealous and insecure quite quickly. I thought, like, if I got this guy that's really interested in me, that's shown big interest, I get this feeling that I think I touched on this yesterday, that they're not quite reachable. Do you know what I mean? They're like with you, but they're not really. And, I know on ASAP, I'm on ASAP myself, but there's just so many people on there chatting. Like the guys I talk to, some of them. There's one guy who I'm really good friends with on there. But there's, a lot of them, they're just looking to chat and just chat up loads of people. It's very hard to distinguish the people sometimes that are just looking for friends and are really just going around chatting loads of people up, like chatting loads of women up. I mean, I think I told you there's this guy and he's like chatting like 40 women up and stuff like that. It's just like telling me he's chatting to 40 women. And do you know what I mean? It's just like, and there's one guy on there who's now split up with his girlfriend. He likes an older woman, but it's kind of like, I know just the way I can feel from him that he kind of like talks to loads of women. Do you know what I mean? And I'm thinking, I'm not surprised he split up with his girlfriend, because he was on there and he was chatting to me like very, very, well, far friendlier than you would normally talk to someone if you've got a partner, in my opinion. Then I'm not surprised he's not with his girlfriend anymore. I mean, it's good for him anyway, because she's sexual and he's asexual. I don't really think he wanted to be with her or it's going to work out anyway. I think that's why he's on there. Because at the end of the day, if you're satisfied with the relationship you've got, you don't really need to be on ASAP, do you, really? I mean, there's loads of asexual groups that you can go on Facebook, and he's on, well, I think he's on Facebook. I'm not sure, actually. Most people are, aren't they? But, do you know what I mean? I know some people use ASAP for friendship. I do get that. But, if you got friends already, it's, you know what I mean? It's kind of a bit weird if you got a partner and you're going on there and it's like, I've got a partner, but I'm here to make friends. I don't know. I feel a bit weird about that, personally. But yeah, so it can be kind of strange, and I just, I think sometimes you've got to trust your intuition. You've got to feel from the conversation. If you start feeling jealous already, it's kind of like this person's going to be no good for you in a relationship. And I think you've really got to be such good friends with someone first. It's only because I really, trust my friend Sam, because I'm really good friends with him. And I just know what he's told me. I just know that he said that he had a boyfriend in the past and he was in a club with him. And this person started chatting him up. And he was like, oh, well, my boyfriend's coming. Do you know what I mean? And most people wouldn't be like that. Even if they got a partner, they wouldn't be like that. Because they wouldn't want they wouldn't want them to know they got a partner, because they like being chatted up. And so I know Sam's completely 100% trustworthy like that, and I think it's really rare to get those qualities. And I hope there is a foreign guy like that. I don't think I've ever found one like that yet. I hope there's a foreign guy in the UK that I can trust as much as that. I don't know if it will happen, and I just keep thinking that I need to stay single, because I know I can be a jealous person, And it's hard for me to trust. It's hard when you have got a past history, it's hard for people. It's not just me, it's hard for a lot of people if you've had bad relationships in the past and you've had people going off with other people. But at the same time, you don't want to be in a relationship where you're going to be, well, certainly not possessive, because that's just going to be an unhealthy, toxic relationship, and you're both going to end up flying off the handle at each other and be very destructive, destructive towards each other. So you don't want something that's going to make you be possessive. And jealousy is not a good thing either, but it does happen. I've tried to accept the fact I get jealous, but it is hard. It's something I kind of like, I want to keep it in a way because it kind of protects me. Because I think if you totally trust someone 100%, like I did in the past when I was like 16 and I didn't realise what the guy was doing when I was with him, kind of like part of me wants to keep a bit of jealousy. I'm just being really honest here, I'm not covering up, I'm not saying things that people want to hear. Part of me does want to keep a bit of jealousy because I feel then that like, no guy's gonna sort of come around and devastate me again. Do you know what I mean? Thank you for the thumbs up for my honesty. I really appreciate that. And so, people are not going to say that. People are not going to say, usually that I want to keep a bit of jealousy. But I think if I get the right guy, then I won't think like that. I won't need it. So, for example, Sam, like I said, we can only be friends because we're not suitable for partners. But, I know someone like him, I don't think I'd feel jealous. However, he can get really close to other female people. Like he can get really close to women, like lots of women. So I don't know if that would change my view. I don't know. At the moment, I'd say no because I know him so well. And I know his boundaries really, really well. I understand him. So at the moment, I'd say no. I don't think there would be any jealousy there. But, I'm just he's the only person I know 100% I think is like, they've got the same boundaries as me, so that's why I'm bringing him up as an example. And I really hope I do find, a guy, a foreign guy who's like me, because I think if I do get that right person, then I know that they're totally trustworthy. What I worry about the most, right, with a guy, I'll be honest, is I think guys are too nice to women. I know that sounds really bad, but I do, because I've had such I've got mostly guy friends, right, but I've got a really awesome female friend. She's incredible. I saw her yesterday. She took me out for food and drinks, and I just love her to bits. So I don't really need a boyfriend anyway when I've got her. She's amazing, but she's not asexual, but she's incredible, and I feel very safe around her. She's a tough cookie. So yeah, she's lovely. She was the one that was in hospital, and I'm thanking God she's alive. Yeah. So she's my best friend. I love her to bits so much. So yeah. But it's just, I think it's really difficult admitting these things, but I think you have to, and that's why I feel a lot of the time I'm better off staying single, because I don't have to worry then. Do you know what I mean? There's a huge benefit to being single. You don't have to even worry about a person going off with anyone else. You don't even need to worry if your friends hug 50,000 people or whatever they want to do, or kiss them or whatever, because they're just your friends. And it's not really going to harm you or hurt your feelings or emotions. Do you know what I mean? But I think, if I had someone with the same boundaries like Sam does, I think I wouldn't need to have that jealousy at all. But I think, like, with a lot of other people, I kind of like to keep that reserved just to protect myself, because I don't totally trust a lot of people. Even, like I said, even asexual people, there's so many people are like so over friendly, and I think the worst thing for me is, like I was just about to say, is a guy that's over friendly with women, like a guy that thinks women are just innocent. And I know they're not. I got bullied when I was at school, and the worst culprits were women, not guys, which is why I guess I lean more towards guys now, because I get on better with guys. Guys tell it like it is usually, and especially when you're just their friend, and they're very direct and they're very honest, particularly when you're a friend. I find that when you become more than a friend with them, though, a lot of the time that changes. it's just like the dynamic changes. And it's like when you ask them something, when there's feelings involved, instead of it just being a straightforward, yeah, well, I went to the bank today or whatever, or I saw my mate today, or I went to this conference today, or I saw my mum today, or did this computer work today. Instead of it being like open friendship and chatting backwards and forwards, I find that when you get in a relationship, it all kind of like, for some reason, this is my experience. Don't take my experience as like everyone's experience, because my parents' like relationship is amazing. You know, they've been married 50 years this year, and their relationship doesn't get like this. But you know, my experience, what happens is the person kind of feels when you're asking them, you know, like, how's your day been? What have you been up to? Instead of them just asking that and seeing it as a friend thing, because you're still going to be friends with them, right? Because you've been friends with them before your relationship, and you just, you know, you share each other's lives, you know. The right person shouldn't have a problem with this, but, you know, it kind of changes, and somehow they become weird, and it's like, well, why do you want to know that? Are you keeping tabs on me or something? Whereas that type of talk doesn't happen when you're just someone's friend. You know, like, if you're best friends with someone, they just share things with you. And they might share their whole day or week in a quick summary. But it's like, when you get in a relationship, it's like, are you keeping tabs on me? Why do you want to know where I've been? And it's like, hang on a minute, we weren't like this when we were friends. It was like, you would tell me like, oh yeah, I went to see my mother, and I went to do this computer work, and I went to this museum, I saw this friend, I saw that person. But it's kind of like, when you get in a relationship, it's kind of like they feel like they feel like they don't trust you, and therefore it makes you not trust them. It's really weird. And I don't know if it's just me that has these experiences, and I guess it's not, but it kind of like, I don't think many people are very honest about this type of thing. I think people don't like to talk about their flaws. You know, I know jealousy in general is not a good thing, but I think any person, a lot of people in relationship, my mum doesn't get jealous though, but I think a lot of people in relationship, I think they do get a little bit jealous. And I think with, you know, dating coaches, if they were giving advice, they'd say just a little bit of jealousy is okay, but, you know, any more than that, and it's not healthy. And certainly possessiveness is not a good thing. So, you know, I'm aware of, you know, my kind of things that aren't so good about me, you know, but I just hope that I can get someone, if I do get into a relationship, I can totally trust. I mean, it's like, I was talking to a person a while back on Facebook, a foreign guy in the UK, and I just knew that he wasn't going to be trustworthy. I knew from what he said it was going to be, I couldn't be with him anyway. Like, he was interested that I was interested in him, I think. I think he liked the attention a bit. But I mean, he did wish me Merry Christmas, but that was about it, out of the blue. You know, he doesn't talk to me. But he said he'd had issues with past relationships, and until he gets over those issues and improves himself, he can't be in a relationship anyway. So I've just got to think that his issues are his issues. They're not mine, you know. But he's a kind of person that thinks he knows it all, I think. So that's no good anyway, that type of person to me. But I just worry, because I think guys in general think women are sweet and innocent, and to be honest, they can be really, really, really deceitful and deceptive. I have female friends, right, who I consider amazing people, but I know what they get up to with guys sometimes, and not all these guys are even single. Some of these guys are in relationships, you know, and these women, I would say, have kind hearts. They're really nice. They look quite, sometimes some of them look sweet and innocent, you know, other times they don't, but you wouldn't have thought that they would be with someone and kind of cheat. Like, they're not cheating because they're single, but the person they're with has got someone. And so because I've got friends like this, you know, it's kind of like female friends that are really good to me and really kind and lovely hearts. It's kind of like, I know 3 women that have all been with people that have been in relationships with other people. They're not doing that at the moment, but that I know of, because I haven't seen one of them for a while. But do you know what I mean? It's kind of like, if you can do that and you've got a really kind heart and I trust you loads around me, then it's kind of like, there's not much hope, is there? I know that sounds really bad. I'm just telling you the truth off the top of my head about how I feel about this stuff, you know? I mean, I don't want to get, if I feel they're eggshells in relationship, I will call that a red flag. Exactly, Heather. Nice to see you, by the way. Yeah, and I think that's a lot. I think I feel that a lot, but I feel like exactly eggshells is the word to use, and I get that impression from a lot of guys I talk to online. It's kind of like they're a bit unreachable. It's kind of like you want to talk to them, but they don't want to talk to you, and you need someone that's totally going to be there for you. I like a guy for me, right, that theoretically is there for me whenever I need him, but has his own life at the same time. That's what I like. That, you know, he's always there for me. He's always my bestest ever buddy, and he's always like wanting to talk to me whenever he can, but got a life of his own at the same time like I have. Do you know what I mean? It's really difficult to describe, but I kind of need him fighting in my own corner like I would be with him, you know. I'd be there for him, but yeah, so I have to say I agree with you, Heather. That is a really big thing, you know, if you have got a red flag going on, and that's what this video was about, really, is when possessiveness and jealousy isn't your fault. So if you're thinking about being in a relationship with someone, or it's early days with someone, you're starting to feel this possessiveness and jealousy, try to get out of a relationship and just leave, because 9 times out of 10 they are doing something that's not actually right. I hate to say it, but a lot of the time your kind of feelings are true. And it's hard, really, because sometimes it might be your own insecurities and problems from the past. But I'd say a lot of the time that many people aren't 100% trustworthy. Many people have got this other side to them that you don't see. And, you know, like one of my best friend, right, she has got a female friend. Don't forget, my best female friend is not asexual, definitely not asexual. But she has a friend that is sex mad, that I go out with both of them sometimes. And her sex mad friend, she'll be with guys that are married. Do you know what I mean? I mean, you know, she's done that for years. It's part of her whole lifestyle and her life. It's just like, you know, it is what it is. Do you know what I mean? She's like in her 60s. Do you know what I mean? She's 65, I think. I mean, some people could think good for her in the sense that she can pull loads of guys at her age. But in the other way, you could think it's disgusting that she goes with married men. So, do you know what I mean? Because I personally, I don't agree with being with someone who's in a relationship with someone else. If in the past and throughout my life, you know, if I've got a guy that's interested in me and they've got a partner, I usually tell them, go and speak to your partner. Why are you talking to me like that? You know, you've got a partner, you shouldn't be speaking to me like that. Go and speak to your partner. Spend more time talking to them than you do to me. Because I'm not one of those type of women that needs a guy's attention like that. I do like attention, but not that type of attention. I don't want a guy who's got a partner to be interested in me. I'm not interested in that. And loads of women love that. Loads of women are like, oh, this guy's got someone, but he's interested in me. Oh. And I'm not that type of person. I think it's disgusting. I think, go. I'm not interested. Go and talk to your wife. Spend as much time and energy on her. Or, you know, I'm saying wife because obviously it's guys that are interested in me usually. You know, and I'd say go and spend time with her. Or your partner. Why are you busy saying this stuff to me and spending so much time with me? You know, I don't mind them saying, hi, how's things going? But, you know, when they're starting getting really friendly, engrossed in my personal life or whatever, I'm like, no, just go away and speak to your partner. You know, I really think that people need to work more on their relationships. And I do know from my experience, like I was saying, from being like growing up being bullied by women, that a lot of women aren't trustworthy. And sadly, there's a lot of guys in the world that seem to think women are sweet and innocent. And if a woman came onto them, they couldn't say no. I mean, they could because they've got a choice, but they just wouldn't, because they'd be like, and if a woman was like in need of them and really upset and everything, I'm not saying there's not nice people that are like this, but I'm saying, you know, there's quite a few women that'll pull the emotional strings of like, oh, I'm so upset, I really need someone right now to talk to. And it's kind of like, you just want a guy to give you all the attention because you want him to fancy you, basically. And do you know what I mean? And you love that kind of relationship with them where you're the centre of attention when they've got a partner. I just think it's disgusting. And so that's why, you know, I want a guy that's nice to women, but not one that's not aware of what they're like. And I think a lot of guys aren't aware of what women's like, you know, and if push comes to shove or it came to the crunch, they would think innocently of the female. Do you see what I mean? In each case scenario, they wouldn't contemplate the fact that they've got ulterior motives. And that type of guy is no good to me. I like a guy who's got some feminine qualities, but not to the extent where he thinks all women are just like friendly and, you know, they're just being nice and they haven't got ulterior motives, you know, of coming onto them or fancying them or wanting their attention because they do fancy them in time. Do you see what I mean? So I think, you know, I think the possessiveness and jealousy can be a double-edged sword in the sense that, no, it's not healthy to be a possessive person in a possessive relationship because it's just going to ignite and be disastrous. It can get aggressive, violent, very abusive in lots of ways, and it's not healthy, you know. And if you don't trust each other, you're always treading on eggshells, like Heather said, and you're always like never really going to have a good, stable relationship, which you need. And sadly, you know, when a lot of people have got hormones, which the majority of us have, well, we've all got hormones, as you know, the reason why, you know, people tend to be attracted to bad people, it's the chemicals, you know. And, you know, women tend to be attracted to bad guys, guys tend to be attracted to bad women. And the people that they're less attracted to usually are the more trustworthy ones because there's not all these hormones flying around. Because, you know, it's really weird psychology, but when a guy's a little bit more, got a bit more edge to him, when he's usually not so honest and nice, if you know what I mean, women can like that type of guy more and vice versa. But it's all to do with hormones and chemicals, you know, and it's like they've got a bit of an edge to them. They're not, you know, women think that guys who are the opposite are pushovers. So a lot of women tend to go ones that have got a bit of like masculinity, I guess, about them, or, you know, and so it becomes very difficult. I think relationships in general are very difficult, but I just want to say there are people out there that can be bad people and can make you paranoid, can make you feel possessive, can make you feel jealous because they just aren't really trustworthy people. They're bad people and they can make you feel like you're the one at fault, that you're the one who's a possessive, jealous, mad, crazy person. But they are triggering that and they just keep triggering it and they keep triggering it, then having a go at you for feeling that way when they've triggered it in the first place. And so you have to watch out for that. And that is the side when it's not really your fault. They are playing games with you and they are manipulating you. And being around those type of people or in those type of relationships can then have long-lasting damage on you. And it's very difficult to get that trust back with anyone. You know, I know from my own personal experience, it's very bad. You know, I mean, my ex, for example, he worked in a department store. And then once he comes back and he's telling me about this time he's in the toilet with this woman, comforting her with his arm around her. I'm like, why are you doing that? Oh, because she was upset about something. And he's in a toilet with her, a disabled toilet with her. I'm thinking, to me, that just isn't right. That's a boundary that he shouldn't be doing. He shouldn't be overstepping with someone who is a work colleague. And he does, you know, there's plenty of other women. There's women there that work there. There's other people. Why did he need to be the one to be in a toilet with her, with his arm around her, comforting her? It's just, to me, that's something he shouldn't be doing when he's in a relationship. Now, that did make me feel jealous at the time, you know, because I'm thinking he shouldn't be doing that. You know, why is he doing that? I just think it's wrong. But, you know, if I had the right type of guy, he wouldn't do that. He might be sympathetic to the person, but he wouldn't be going in a toilet with them. Do you know what I mean? It's just like, that's what I mean as well. It doesn't matter, you know, like there's people who do get upset in work. But, you know, if a guy's upset in work, I might talk to him, but I'm not going to go in the loo with him, am I? And go and put my arm around him in a toilet. Do you know what I mean? If a woman did that with a man, I mean, what, you know what I mean? It just like, they could have been doing anything in the loo. Do you know what I mean? It's just like, it's just not right, in my opinion. But, you know, I had to try and trust him on that, but it really betrayed. I'm like, how can I trust you? I don't know if something went on between you two or what. But to even be that close to a woman in the first place, something seems off to me. So that's the type of thing that I wouldn't usually trust a person over. And I would usually feel jealous of, maybe a bit possessive, but I definitely would feel jealous. But I think that would be good reason. So, you know, but I mean, some people live very different lives and they have very different boundaries. And I think, you know, you've got to get a person that, in terms of relationship, where you can actually trust them, you know, whether that's a platonic relationship or it's a, you know, it's a romantic relationship. I think you can get jealousy with friends as well. It's not just a romantic relationship scenario, you know. I've had it in the past where possibly I would have got a little bit jealous. But I'm at a stage now in my life where people that are really close to me, that I trust, I don't have any jealousy with. They can be bonded to whoever they want, but I know they just bonded to me, and the bond between me and them is unique because there's no one like me and no one like them. So I'm comfortable with that. But I think you can get jealous a bit with your friends as well, especially if they're spending a lot more time with other people than with you. But if they give you equal time and attention, and you know you don't feel like you're being substituted, or that's, you know, that for anyone, you know, you don't feel like someone else is your substitute, like they're spending like loads of time with them and not with you, I think it's fine. Like with my friend, best female friend that's not asexual, you know, she's got another best female friend, and they were friends before me and her came along, so our other friend's her best friend as well. But I'm totally cool with that. I mean, in part, I guess I'm cool with it because the woman was there first before I was. I mean, it's her best friend, you know, they're best friends more. But in some ways, sometimes I'm a bit closer to her, you know, because she can tell me different secrets, if you know what I mean. But I have no problem with her best friend. I mean, we all get on really well. There's no jealousy there, do you know what I mean? Because actually, I'm really happy if I can't see her sometimes that she's got another best friend to go and see and spend some time with, so she's not on her own. So, because her other best friend lives in her town, whereas I don't. So, you know, I actually want what's best for her. And I think that's when you trust a friend, you trust that they're genuine your friend, and you don't feel the need to be jealous. You don't have, you know, they're not triggering that in you because you're comfortable knowing that they really do care about you and they genuinely love you and care about you as a friend. Therefore, you know, I'm really happy when she sees her other friend. She goes on holiday with her other friend and everything. I have no problem with that. I actually encourage her. I think it's great. I'm really happy for her if she goes and sees her friends at country or whatever, because I know that I will still be bonded to her. It doesn't matter, you know. And it's a little bit difficult sometimes when I know she might leave, you know. I know one day she might completely go up country and move, or she could move abroad. And that is hard, but I just have to, you know, if that happens, I just have to let her go in terms of distance. There's not much you can do, and just think that I was glad to have her with me for this time, you know, and whatever will be, will be. But, you know, I still know I'll always be friends with her, come what may. Just that obviously if she does move, then she'll get another bunch of best friends, and you just have to accept that. But because mine's a friendship love for her, then I just want what's best for her, if you know what I mean. And I think that happens when you can really trust someone, that someone is definitely your friend, that they really love and care about you as a friend. And I think that if you don't have that feeling that they really love and care about you as a friend, I think that's when the jealousy can set in. So I don't necessarily think it's totally all your fault, do you know what I mean? And sometimes, like I said, it's not your fault when someone's purposely triggering you when they're not a trustworthy person. You know, in my past, I haven't had trustworthy friends, even trustworthy female friends. So the women that said, or the girls that said they were friends with me in the past, which was very, very few when I was at school, like one at a time, pretty much, they betrayed me. They broke my trust. They weren't really my friend. I used to have to do all the work in the friendship. It was very, very one-sided, you know, and kind of they were very secretive and stuff, and that wasn't nice. So I think, like, I'm just so thankful and grateful now that I've got these best asexual friends in my life, and I got guy role models, and I've got a best female friend as well who's not asexual, that I can now see the difference, and why being with the right types of people in your life can help you not to be a jealous person, because they don't trigger that in you, because there's no need for you to be like that, because you actually can completely trust them, and that what they're saying is the truth and they're being good with you, if that makes sense. But I just want you to know that you know, not all jealousy and possessiveness is your fault. And, you know, there's sometimes people do get into relationships with people that aren't any good for them, that are bad people. And so they can make you feel that way. I'm not saying it's good to feel that way, because it's not, but I'm saying it can trigger you. Do you know what I mean? I mean, no one can make you feel anything technically because you're in charge of your own emotions, but many of us aren't really in control of our own emotions, even if we'd like to be. Do you know what I mean? That's a reality. We should be in control of our emotions, but a lot of the time our emotions tend to control us. So the more we can get a rein on our emotions, the better. But it is one huge benefit of being single, I think, when you don't have that jealousy. But like I said, you can get it with friends. I mean, I think that some people who have really a lot of platonic friendships or partnerships, they may even feel jealous if they're spending, one person spending a lot more time with one than the other, if they haven't got a life of their own. I mean, I would always say one of the major ways you can curb jealousy and possessiveness is if you've got a life of your own and you've got lots of other friends. Like, it's a lot easier to not be jealous and possessive if you've got your own network of friends rather than just one friend. If you just got one friend, then there's a lack in your life. You lack other people, you lack other friends. And so therefore you become a more needy person by default a lot of the time. And therefore you're more likely to be prone to jealousy or possessiveness. And the way to stop that is to grow your network so that you have more options in your life, so you don't feel so needy. So when they're seeing someone else, it really doesn't bother you because you're like, well, I'm busy. I can't really see them anywhere. I've got life of my own. I'm doing other things. I can't be with them all the time because it means I'd never get my own hobbies and interests done, because that's what I feel like sometimes. I love seeing my friends, but I couldn't be seeing them every single night because I've got a life of my own. I've got things I need to do, and if I don't, it stresses me out because I'm not progressing in my own life. But when I was a person that didn't have so much in their life and didn't have more than one friend, then I would be more prone to jealousy and possessiveness because I'd be a more needy person. I'd be like, well, if they're not seeing me, who have I got to see? And then I could feel lonely and no one cares. And so, like I said from yesterday, you must watch yesterday's video about how to not be lonely. And that's all about making connections with people. And then from those connections, trying to go deeper with some people and forming close friendships with them and close bonds. Do you know what I mean? And just growing your network of people and the people you can talk to and having your life, but also growing your own self-love and self-care. And part of your self-love is to do with, doing hobbies and interests that you enjoy, doing things that make you come alive, doing things that make you feel like you're progressing in your life. Because if you feel like you're progressing and say like you had a friend who wanted to see you every night, you'd be like, I really can't, because you can't grow yourself. Do you know what I mean? I mean, it's lovely seeing friends, but if you were to see someone like 7 nights a week and you're not really doing anything. So for example, I do a lot of other stuff besides asexuality, but that's my main thing, asexuality. But at the moment I'm doing a lot of other stuff on top. So I'm doing a lot of entrepreneurial videos this weekend and editing and uploading and stuff like that. So do you know what I mean? I need time to do that. And if I was seeing a friend every night, I wouldn't be able to do that. So I do think having a network of friends, having lots of hobbies and interests for yourself is a very, very healthy thing, because it can stop you feeling so needy, and therefore you're less prone to jealousy or possessiveness feelings with friends, for example. And I just wanted to state that. But again, just to reiterate in this video that obviously you're responsible for your own, you're responsible for yourself and your actions, but there are people who are bad in life sometimes that will trigger possessiveness and jealousy because they can't be trusted, and you can feel it in your gut that they can't be trusted, and you probably doubt it in your mind and you're backwards and forwards thinking, should I trust this person or not? And if you just can't trust them, you can't trust them. It's best not to be partners with them, not be in a relationship or not be close to them, whether that be a platonic relationship or romantic. It's best just to leave them and go. But there are situations where it will take a while to build trust as well. So if you've got a new friend, you have to suss them out. And sometimes new friends you might not trust totally 100% straight away, but they might give you no reason to not trust them, if you know what I mean. And that's how it's been in my life with the close friends, like particularly my best female friend. Like, it took me years to totally 100% trust her as my friend. It took me probably, we've been friends now for nearly 7 years, and I think it took me the best part of 5 years to actually totally 100% trust her as my best friend, because with women in the past I've been so let down. And she's very different to me in lots of ways, but because I've got so used to her now and I understand her, and whatever she says, I can understand on such a deep level that I know what she's really like, if you know what I mean, in all different ways. You know, so I'm so comfortable knowing what she's like. I really know her so well, if you know what I mean. I know her better than a lot of people do. And so that makes me feel comfortable with her, and like I can totally trust her with me. Do you know what I mean? But there's not many people I can do that with. And, you know, it's just, you know, it does take time with people. And that's that's what I want to say. If you've got a new friend and you are feeling like you're not sure if you can trust them, and it's not a case of you feel jealous and possessive as such, or maybe there's a little bit jealousy there at the beginning because you might not know if you can trust that person with their other friends, because you might feel they might go away from you if you've been let down in the past. You know, maybe, you know, with some people you might just need time to see if they're worthy of your trust, if you know what I mean. Because trust has to be proven, you know. I mean, one thing I really, really don't like is when a guy comes along. I'm talking about guys because, you know, I'm only interested in guys in a relationship. When a guy comes along and just thinks, just like that, I'm meant to trust him. I don't think that's good, you know. Trust is built up over time. You know, no one should come into your life and demand you to trust them, because that's not their right to do that. You know, trust is earned. Trust is given over time, you know, and sometimes it takes a while to build trust up. And for the initial bit, you know, if it's a friend or potential friend, you might feel a little bit of jealousy at the beginning because you might not be able to know that you can totally trust them. So, you know, you might have to give it some time. But if you're thinking about getting into a relationship with someone and there's already some distrust there or some jealousy and possessiveness, I would say, you know, just be friends with that person for as long as you can be to gain that trust before you get into a relationship with them. Because if you get into a relationship with someone that you can't totally trust in the first place, the relationship's going to end. It's not going to last. So if you've met a new person, you've known them, for example, like, I don't know, 8 months, and you still don't know if you can totally trust them as a friend yet, but you really feel like you want to be in a relationship with them. I know I'm giving this advice out, and I know sometimes I don't always take my own advice, but I'm telling you this with the best of intentions, that, you know, try and make sure that you totally trust them first before you get into a relationship with them, because it's not going to work. And I need to make sure I always take this advice myself, because in the past, you know, with my hyper-romanticism, I jump in quite quickly. I mean, thank God I've got quite a good, strong management system going with that, with myself at the moment, you know. But it still doesn't mean to say I can't have feelings like with my romanticism, you know. I can't have these really strong feelings, you know, and that you know, I have to keep that in check regularly. It's hard. I have to work on managing my hyper-romanticism a lot. Really work on it, you know. It's like having another job. It's really weird like that. But, you know, I hope this video has been useful, helpful, insightful. If you got anything to add in the comments, anything you want to share, excuse me, with the people who watch this channel, please put the comments down below. I'd love to hear what you think of this video. I'd love to hear what you have to say. What's your experience? Any tips and tricks, and, well, I shouldn't use the word tricks with trust, should I? But, you know, any hints, tips, advice that you'd like to give, you know, in regards to you know, trusting people, building trust, or, you know, steering clear of the wrong person that's going to trigger you for jealousy and possessiveness, or any, you know, like, advice about, you know, waiting to see if you can trust a person. You know, what's your experience with that? I'd love to hear you in the comments below. As always, please give this video a thumbs up if you like it. I know I've already got someone who's given me this thumbs up. I really appreciate it. I really love getting the thumbs up, because it does get these videos higher in search engine rankings. I know, because I have people who, like, I had someone tonight who, as far as I know, they're not asexual. They're like, oh, I've been watching your videos. They're very inspirational and very informative. So that's really nice. And it's thanks to you, the community here, for commenting more and liking it and sharing these videos, that they're getting around a lot more now. You know, they're getting noticed a lot more. So I really appreciate that. And yeah, and if you haven't already subscribed to this channel, you're watching it right now, you know, please hit the subscribe button down below. Please hit that bell icon to get notified of every time I go live like now or post new videos. So yeah, you should get like an instant notification. And I'll see you on the next video. Until next time, embrace your quirky and each other's. Lots of love to you, and thanks for tuning in. Take care. Bye. Lots of love. Bye. Bye, Heather. Bye, everyone else that's watching.